Call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. All the members of the safety committee here present. First order of business is approval of the past minutes. Everybody's had a chance to look at them. Need a motion to the floor to approve. So,
Second.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passed. On the old business, we went ahead and took the municipal order amendment M 2015-01, pressed on the names of the councilmen, so it would be corrected. That would be submitted to the council on the next meeting with the proper changes to change, to delete safety committee heads and just insert fire chief, police chief, so forth, leave blank.
Right. I mean, fire chief or designate, or what they call, if he can't be, he can send it. And the same thing about a police chief. If the chief's not present, he can have a designate, whatever. Is that the proper language?
So you want to, let me correct this, you want to remove police chief and the name and the fire chief and the
Right.
name and just insert fire chief or
Right.
designee,
Right.
police chief or
Instead
designee.
of just indicating the name, because if you indicate the name, you have to revise it again.
Right.
So you just use the language
Right.
chief and designate. Okay.
And on that, can I make a recommendation to you all that even on all the other committees, maybe you all think about doing the same thing there? Because you know when people get
That's
ready to
true.
retire.
I know, because
So that might be something that you all could do tonight, is say, let's recommend changing those committees
you
just
have
to
to
have their
change, because
title.
if you got a particular name there, you have to abide by the...
Right. Well, it's a council meeting, so as long as you have a quorum
Right.
of the council, the other ones don't matter.
Right.
But tonight, you all could recommend to change all these committees and just put the title of the
Right.
department head only, and then you all make that recommendation to the council and let the whole council discuss it and then say, yes, let's do it.
What's the mean? Think about that. You understand?
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what we'll submit.
So is somebody, you making the recommendation to do that, Mr. Lydia?
Okay,
Okay.
I'll make a recommendation. Choose that as-
And then that, I'll give it to Barbie so that she can put it on the next council for
Okay.
everybody to discuss.
Okay.
Okay?
But do the council have to vote on,
They'll have to vote on all of them, but on the
since we
safety,
had a revised the safety committee and then added, Chief Walker, the council have,
you all can take care of your safety committee tonight.
right,
But the other committees that have the actual names on there, you need to make the recommendation and then the whole council would discuss it and then vote.
because I know when the council vote on all of the subcommittees. So when I'm still not clear, so the recommendation, do the council have to approve it, or do the safety committee?
The safety committee can approve it, and then they can recommend to the council that this is what we want to do for the safety committee,
okay.
and then going forward on all the other committees
Okay.
also. Okay?
I think we just recommend do all of them at one time. because-
Okay,
That way you only have to amend it one more time, and that'd be it.
okay,
Okay.
I can second
So I'm gonna put Councilman Liddy in, makes that recommendation,
okay,
and then I'll give that to Barbie for the next meeting.
okay.
Move forward. Police officers, body cam finance, that's the main topic here today. I'll give you a brief on it. Our cameras are breaking down, no longer under warranty. There was, probably not enough research done before they were bought, so we could be the first ones to get them. And now they're not up to snuff, and they're not being recording property. They're not, battery's not holding up. And Judge Sims threw out, suppressed 2 cases this past couple weeks over the videos. I should let Chief, I let Chief give more on it.
I have made the mayor aware of some of our concerns. There's a few of them, and I'm just going to touch on them. One is we're having increased request for body camera footage on every type of incident that the police are involved, from traffic stops, involving DUIs, any type of incident where there's police and citizen interaction. We have one officer that is trained on retrieving this footage. That's Officer Tim Simpson. So he's been taken off the street in an inordinate amount of time from his patrol duties to download the body camera footage. And in some cases, on the open records request, where we have 3 days where we must comply with those requests, he's had to come in on overtime to download the footage and abide by the time constraints on the request. I don't believe the intent of the body cameras was to harm the police department financially and make the public less safe by taking officers off the street. But as we're learning, that's one of the consequences that we're having of the body cameras. The system for downloading footage from the cameras and storing it on a computer, it's just a local computer that's not attached to the internet. We have to maintain that body camera footage as evidence, maintain the integrity of it. There are flaws in it. As such, at least in one case, footage, I don't know how else to explain it, disappeared. We didn't have an explanation for it. This has led, like Councilman Buckman alluded to, some pretty severe admonishments from the local courts against the police departments on the body camera footage being downloaded and storage. As he's already mentioned, the cameras are failing and they are out of warranty. Our officers work 12-hour shifts and they are recording at any time that there's interaction there. So there's a lot of use of those body cameras, and I'm sure, as most of you are aware, by using your own personal electronic devices and stuff at home, nothing is made to last. So if you used your TV or DVD player as much as these officers use their cameras over the last year, they're going to fail, and that's what's happening. The cameras are failing, and they're out of warranty, and we're running out of cameras. We're not going to have, pretty soon we're going to be in a position where we're not going to have officers that are going to have cameras issued to them because we don't have any. The camera technology is already out of date, again, as Councilman Buckman alluded to. These particular cameras, we have problems with the batteries dying, especially since our officers work 12-hour shifts. They frequently die, and when they do die, one of the problems with these cameras is they default to a date of 1973. So normally, if the camera is properly charged and you go to download it, it's going to download to it's going to have a time and date stamp on it, which helps Officer Simpson locate that particular footage. If he has a traffic stop on a certain day at a certain time, he can go to that file. As we're finding out, when the cameras are dying, they're defaulting to 1973, so when that footage is downloaded, you have a lot of footage from a lot of different officers under 1973, and he has to physically view all this footage looking for familiar faces. It's a time-consuming process for Officer Simpson, and again, that's affecting our overtime, and it's also when he is on duty, it's pulling the officer off the street. As a department head, last year we were approximately $47,000 over budget on our overtime, and being that I'm the one responsible for the overtime, this is a concern of mine when we're paying him overtime to have to come in and download this footage. We've looked at a better system, TASER, which makes the tasers that we carry. They're also in the body camera business. They make a superior camera and a superior system for downloading, where you bring your camera in, you dock it, and it's uploaded to a cloud that they securely store that footage. A lot of major metropolitan police departments in the United States have went to this system, but it's not without cost. We obtained a quote for them, and they want you to sign a 5-year contract, and the bare minimum, there's several levels of this evidence storage that you can buy, and the bare minimum level at that with cameras for our officers ran approximately $65,000 for 5 years if we were to enter into a contract with.
4 or 5 years or per year?
It's for 5 years. We examined the quote a little bit further. The cost in that is the evidence storage, and as a lot of departments are finding out, these body cameras, they generate a tremendous amount of information that has to be stored, just terabytes of data that has to be stored for, depending on your state law or policies, up to years. We have some questions that we haven't gotten answered from TASER yet. My question would be is if we, this is something the city wanted and the council approved, and we entered into a contract with them on the 364th day of the 5th year, if we decided we weren't going to renew that contract, but we're downloading footage to their server, once that contract is expired, do they allow us to download that footage, or do they sell it to us, or do we have to continue to pay for them to store that footage in line with our requirements or our state law or our policies? So there's some unanswered questions there, but that is one of the probably the premier body camera systems in the United States, being utilized by very, very large departments. And as you can see, it's something that's pretty costly. So we just want to bring it to the Safety Committee's attention tonight that our body cameras are breaking, they're failing. We're going to have a point probably very soon where we're going to have officers that are not wearing body cameras, and there are other options out there, but they're not without a cost.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Have you did a research, other departments having the same problem with those body cameras? I mean, who all having problem with those? Is that particular product, camera? I mean,
There are many different types of body cameras, and this particular brand is not a more well-known brand. I don't know, someone told me that, was it New Albany used these same cameras?
And New Albany did away with theirs, they totally eliminated their body cams.
I don't have an answer for that. All I can say is our experience is, I mean, these cameras are used extensively and they're failing. And it's just like any other electronic, unless you bought something that was made to mil specs, that's built to last. They have been used extensively over the last year, and buttons are wearing out on them, and they're not downloading correctly. Nothing is wears.
I wish it's possible if we could do a research, because those body cameras are very important. And this is the first time I heard that you was having a problem with them. I was just wondering, some other cities who have maybe a certain product, maybe they not having no problem. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe some type, maybe we need to go to a different type or something.
That's what he's talking about now. The TASER, the one he's talking about, is a different system.
Oh, okay.
It's a different company, and they make a better body camera. They're a more well-known company, and they have a better system for downloading and storing that data, that voluminous amount of data. So this is just a problem with the technology of the cameras themselves. They're wearing out, and our process for downloading and storing that is clunky. It's not user-friendly, and it's costing our department money, quite frankly.
And I wish we could find some good ones, because really that they will pay for itself, especially that body camera, especially you have to go record it, and with the technology on it, it will pay for itself. I would support finding some good ones, you know.
Well, I mean, we just, like I said, Councilman, we obtained a quote from a reputable company, and it's approximately $65,000, and it would require the council to approve a 5-year contract. And then we would have some other questions for this company about the storage requirements after the contract expires, what our responsibility is, or how we obtain that footage. But it just gives you an idea that there are some better options out there, but they're not without significant cost to the city.
So this $65,000, that includes your TASER and all that?
No,
That's just
It's just a body cam.
Oh, just the
The
body?
company is a TASER, that makes the TASERs also.
Okay.
This is the body cam that they branched off and got into.
Exxon is,
And they
EXON is the.
are offering us the same, a better deal.
So this will include the cameras and,
It include the cameras and the system for downloading, and they securely store it on their servers, and it's being upheld in court. Their ability to maintain the integrity of that. So it includes everything.
includes
Yes, sir.
everything? And it's guaranteed, you said?
I don't know what the
Right.
specific warranty on their cameras is. That would be a question we
Right.
would definitely want to ask them.
Okay, all right.
I'd like to hear something from the city attorney on where we're standing at now with these cases being suppressed and so forth, the legal standpoint from the city and from the mayor on where he wants to go with this thing, because we're getting into legal problems in the courts, getting in trouble in the courts, that we need to either stop using the cams altogether until we clear this problem, or what direction we need to go with them.
Well, the suppression was not based on, the suppression was based on some of the things that the judge saw on the camera. But there was a case here recently, and it's a criminal case. And normally, on a criminal case, you wouldn't, they have, on the back page of cases, they have a distribution list. And they had, the distribution was the Commonwealth Attorney, which is Terry Gohagan, the prosecutor, Jennifer Lowe, who is she was the public defender, and me, the Barstown City Attorney. And I'm wondering, why in the world am I getting a criminal decision? And I read through here, and then at the end of the case, this is Judge Sims who wrote this, and it says, finally, this court is compelled to note that the Barstown Police Department needs to establish an appropriate procedure so body cam videos do not continue to disappear. As grounds, the body cam video is relevant for prosecution and defense in every case. In this case, the Commonwealth was actually at a disadvantage because the prosecutor and the investigating officer were unable to view the body cam video prior to the suppression hearing. In this case, the defense attorney had the video because she had found it in a district court case. And the officer and the prosecutor didn't have the video. And so you can imagine that's a pretty embarrassing, if not legally hazardous situation to be in. And when we, the city of Barstown, got these cameras, the mayor asked that I research. He said, Chief McCubbins and the mayor said, we're thinking about getting body cameras.
Right.
And they said, what are the ramifications to this? Well, I found and provided for the mayor and the chief, there's like a 90-page Department of Justice guidelines and suggestions booklet. Federal booklet says, here's procedures and processes and everything. And I believe that, Mayor, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I brought that over for the mayor, copy for the mayor, copy for the police chief. And the mayor said, well, we've got the body cams. I guess we got maybe a grant or something.
It was a $23,000 or $28,000 somewhat of a matching type grant.
Yeah. And so what we did is we got the body cams, and we started out without really knowing exactly
Right.
what our requirements were. You've got open records requests. I've got I've done a little bit of research. There's some articles where departments are starting to to rethink this because of the open records request. If you get an open records request that says all video that with Officer X on such and such dates, that's a massive amount of video, and they have to search. So obviously, those of us who, I've got video of my kids and grandkids on the computer, and when my wife says, go find that vacation where we went to Rough River Dam or whatever in 2012, it's going to take me a while. Well, you can imagine with the police department. So it's a case. I personally support the body cams and think they're a wonderful thing and think that it will protect the city of Barstown. It protects the police. It also protects the citizens. But it has to be done correctly.
Sure, that's true.
It has to, the bottom line is that we have to be able, if we're going to generate a public record, in this case video, we got to be able to get it. We got to be able to search it, find it, get it, and produce it. And what the captain was saying is that you've got a police officer who's basically, it's almost a full-time job. That's not out of the ordinary. There are other places that are running the same thing where there's staff time and things. So I believe that we did the right thing, maybe a little too quickly before we were actually prepared to do it right. And when you have a court that's saying, you know, we want to make sure that we can get to this video because it's what we, you know, if you're going to generate this video, we need to be able to get it.
I wasn't aware of that, okay.
Well, that was a lot of our concerns when we started this. How is going to keep up with it? And I think that, as you stated, I think that's going to be a major thing. Now, sounds like part of our problem is more so the how we're going to do it is the camera's been bad, but you know what the batteries are and all that.
Two-pronged
But,
problem, yes, sir.
but how one of the main things looks to me like is how quick Taser's going to get us back the information. You know, I mean, is this something that something happens tonight? Will we be able to get that information by tomorrow morning or whenever the judge wants it? So that procedural thing looks to me like is as important as the cameras are themselves. That was a big concern when we went to these, how we was going to keep up with it, who was going to keep up with it, and the cost,
Well, there's again, it's a multi-pronged problem. If you got a camera system that is prone to breaking down and not providing you a good product, that's one issue. But let's say we have the top of the line, wonderful video and it'll download, but then we can't, it's like, okay, where is it? You know, it's like having a bunch of blank CDs in a closet, and all right, which one has what on there? You have to be able to sort that information. It's important. There's two prongs to the having the video and being able to sort through the video. There's open records request where somebody says, I want, you know, domestic violence. The prosecutor asked me the other day, does that mean that in a process you've got a divorce and there was a domestic violence call and the officers responded, can we get the video? Can somebody get the video? I think the answer is yes, through an open records request. But then what you have to do, and Barbie is not here, but she could speak to it, we've had to take video and blur people's faces out.
Yeah, minors,
That
yes.
was
Yeah.
a lot of discussion.
And that
about
takes
when
about
we-
7 to 10 days to take care of that
Yes,
process.
so you have to, that's open records. But then you have on the prosecution end of it, where you've got chain of custody, where you got to be able to, and I think that's what, you know, the captain was alluding to, is that it's been upheld in court, where it is the true and accurate video of that incident that can then be submitted to court and recognized as evidence and valid evidence. And so if you've got a company that's doing this around the country, I would think that they would be able to respond to both of those requests. But what you'd want to do, it's like anything else, the devil's in the details here.
And also with this company, well, they train a officer, because from listening, you guys, you got to be trained before you be able to use that thing, you know?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you do it incorrectly, you can go to court.
Absolutely.
So is training, is stipulation in there for the training on that $65,000, is that included in
I
that?
don't know, but I would certainly hope so. If we're spending $65,000 with them, that'd be something we'd
Right.
certainly ask them to come down and train us on the proper use of them.
What? Go ahead. Well, looks to me, I mean, it's good to know that we got a problem, we're looking at it, but looks like there needs to a whole lot more research
Well, I'd like,
into it.
Yes, sir.
to me, I'd like to put a motion on the floor to suspend the use of the cameras that the existing program until the chief and assistant chief can do some proper research and documentation on this Taser and get all the pertinent details, and we can bring it to the council and justify the increase of the expenditure
Right.
when we do.
Make a
Until
motion.
then, we need to, because this system here is not working.
I know.
It's not working.
I'll
So
make it.
it's better to just get rid of it than,
I'd like, is that a good idea to do it, Ben, we're in the middle of the swing,
Oh,
we
that's
don't want
right.
to
I
drown?
didn't think about that. Well, you know,
I mean, I don't
you the
know.
attorney, you know, that's a good question.
Well, you know,
Because,
we again, what we've got right now is we're generating a product we can't easily get to. When we can get to it, I'm sure it's useful, you know, and so that, I think, is your all's decision. Is there a legal way? When you generate that record, you're held legally responsible for making that record available, both to for criminal prosecution, for the defense, for open records. And right now, that's difficult to do. And when you, and I think, I assume this is what Councilman Buckman is referring to, as the, you know, every day, we're generating more. And, you know, we're generating more that we might not be able to get to. That's your all's decision. Again, I'm a big supporter of the camera and the camera program. I think it's good for everyone, but if you can't get to it, what good is it doing?
So there's no way we can use it the way you're talking about now with the problems we have and with to get the information. I mean, even with the man that's doing it.
We have cameras that are working, they are generating footage, and there are problems inherent with that. And I don't know what Tim Butler's opinion is, legal opinion, but I'd like to hear it. I think there's liability for the police department in instances where officers had body cameras that were shown to be working, and they downloaded footage, and that footage is lost in the downloading process. So there's problems with us obtaining that footage with admonishments from the courts like this. I think we're opening ourselves up for liability purposes. I don't know what your opinion is, Tim.
Well, I don't think that you'd be liable. I think what it would be is that if you go into court in a criminal case, now we're forgetting about the open records part here too, which is a whole different issue. But if you go into criminal court and an officer says, I treated him just like the gentleman that he is, and the guy said he beat the living heck out of me, you got a difference of opinion. And the judge is going to say, is there a body cam video? Yes. Where is it? Don't know. He may give the benefit of the doubt to the guy who says he beat the living heck out of me. Why? Because it looks like in this case, it looked like Barstown was hiding the video, but the officer couldn't get it, didn't have it, prosecutor didn't have it, and it shows up. It just looks bad. It looks like, what are you hiding? Is the theory.
I agree. How would you date that?
Mayor has something to say about it, but.
Well, I'm a supporter of the cameras. I was when the other chief was here. I think we jumped into it. I think that there was not enough research done on these body cameras that we have here. I think it was just like used as just clip it out of a coupon book and be the first ones to have cameras and show the state that we're the first small town that has it. That's my personal opinion. Wasn't enough research done, and I think that proves it here. And that's not with saying that I have given it great thought. If you have two officers that are working together, one has a camera, one does not, it goes back to what Mr. Butler says. Well, you're both at the same call. How come only one has a camera and one doesn't? It puts us at a liability. I think we need to stop the cameras immediately because we're still recording information that we're not getting out of this computer and getting that information back properly and in a timely manner. There's a court case. There's the judge's. In his own words, Judge Sims says that it needs to be chronologically downloaded, where you can retrieve the information, and when it's downloaded, it's just put in the computer, and they have to spend hours and hours and hours of overtime to hunt for this information, and sometimes they don't even have it. And it's not their fault. It is the camera, it's the system that was bought, which was a piece of junk to begin with. It really was. We jumped the gun. Excuse me just for a minute, please. So what I'm asking right now is if these batteries, if the cameras run out, they jump back and redate to 1973. you lose your dates, you lose times, and I think it's wrong. And I'm asking for your support to stop the cameras immediately, because I think it is a liability at this point where we cannot get the information out. It is a liability to these officers because one may have it, one does not. As it is right now, we have officers running around with no cameras at all. And I just don't think we need to do that until they do the proper research. And then if the council and the safety committee wants to support that and find the money, $65,000, $75,000, $85,000, whatever it takes to do these cameras, then the safety committee and the council will have to give that money. It's not in the budget, so you're gonna have to find it somewhere. But I'm asking your support right now. I want to stop the cameras immediately, one way or the other. It's gonna get us in trouble.
Let me have you too. My concern is like Councilman Buckman, and we have attorney, and we need a attorney opinion. If we suspend this, some good defense attorney, I'm no attorney, but some good defense attorney, they would like that. I mean, you attorney, what do you think about? I mean, from reading, I understand they're not working. They already at a liability. But if we suspend them, and a good defense attorney, you attorney.
No, you know, they'll cast doubt on that. They'll say, you know, yeah, well, and I think what you're alluding to is that,
Right.
that you suspend the use of the cameras.
Right.
The next time you come to court, it's the same thing we were talking about before. They say, well, you know, hey, Judge, if they'd had a camera, we could have seen what they were doing, and now they're operating in the dark
Right.
and blah, blah, blah. Well, they'll have to weigh that testimony out, and, you know, that's like I said, it's for the protection of the officer, too. The officer can come back in and say, you know, this is what I did, and then can document it with the camera. And when we use the word liability to me is financial. There's no real financial liability here.
Right.
I don't think. Not that I can see. There's no
Right.
financial liability. But there is the perception and then the real issue of, you know, we're not meeting a need that or a legal requirement, and that is to have that video accessible
Right.
upon demand. And so, and I think that the issue when you start talking about suspending is the issue that you have. I think almost the only issue is, you know, you're generating more information that you can't get to. You're making, you know, the argument would be you're making the situation worse. Now, the other side of that coin is that we have it somewhere, and there might be a case where we protect somebody's interest. So that's the two competing interests here. But a defense attorney is going to probably argue that and say, you know, this is they use questionable tactics and they can't document it now. And that's, by the way, whether right now, they're probably arguing that, or they argued that and said, you know, they're trying to hide something because the video wasn't available. So they're using that now. And probably that would be, on some people's part, that would be the perception. And that's why I think it's important to proceed and get a good system in place so that that's not a question.
How long do you think it takes you to do this research and get where we could look into buying another program and take a camera? You looking at months, years? What do you think?
30 days.
Well,
Been fine in the month.
Well, I want to say, I agree with Tim. I think it's irresponsible to continue a program that we've already been warned about in the court system. That it's just not proper, and it's not being properly handled, and to me, Judge Tim sent us a warning. And it'd be totally irresponsible for the city and the department to continue down the road in that manner. And
Let's
a couple more comments, and I'm gonna put a motion forward.
Okay.
Let's everybody understand one thing is the cameras are not in no way, shape, or form required by law for any police officer to wear them. There are more law enforcement agencies across the country that are doing away with them, and that's their own personal opinion. Second of all, before these cameras come on, our officers, myself, Bill, these officers here never had cameras. You know, this is something new. Okay, until we get it, until they get this research down and get it exactly like it should have been in the beginning, then and with proper equipment. The other thing is, if you look at it, the Nelson County Sheriff's Department does not, will not, and does not want those cameras, any cameras. Okay.
I have one more question I would like to ask the attorney before we put this motion on the floor. We have one attorney in this room. Your recommendation, City of Bardstown attorney, before we put a motion on the floor, your recommendation. My opinion, I think.
Well, my recommendation is that they're correct. Councilman Buckman is correct. The judge has said to us, you need to make this available, this footage available.
Right.
And so my recommendation is make this footage available. Right now, it's not and I have to trust the captain, what he's saying, that the footage is not easily available, that we have lots of, there's lots of time and money and effort that's spent to make this footage available. And you all have to, what you're talking about, I think that, and maybe it comes down to money, I don't know. You're talking about, over the next little bit, how much, if you're talking about liability and money, how much overtime are you going to be liable for to generate a record that the judge has said you have to generate? Is it worth that expenditure of extra funds for the between now and whenever you get the body cameras to do that? Now, the other thing is that you've got failing body cameras, is what we've been told, and so maybe a moot point. You know, if you not being able to get the video maybe is a secondary problem if you're not generating the video because you've got bad cameras, and you've got, from what I understand. I remember when we were talking about these cameras, that Chief McCoven said that it was an 8-hour battery.
And they don't last but maybe 4 hours.
Well, if you got a 12-hour shift, an 8-hour battery's not going to do you any good. So I think that I think it should be done right. What you're talking about in the interim, is it worse? Are we doing worse by having it than not having it? And that is a judgment call. That's not a legal call. That's a policy call. And I'll trust that you all can make that decision.
Well, my question, you still haven't answered my question. Should we suspend the body camera? That was my question.
And that's what I said. That's a policy question. There's pros and cons. I'm a supporter of body camera.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Have you elected me, council?
Huh? I know, but yeah, I mean, you're an attorney. I don't have no attorney. Yes or no? Should we suspend them?
There are, again, you're asking me a policy question, and legally, can you suspend them? Yes. Are there reasons legally to suspend it? Yes. Are there legal reasons to have the cameras? Absolutely. That's why you need to get good cameras. But again, you're asking me to make a policy decision, and that's a policy question, not a legal question.
That's a decision that needs to be made right here with it. You take what I said and you make your decision, but I can't make that decision for you.
If we got an attorney and we're not no attorney, and that's a legal aspect that's going to court.
Well, let me.
And we sitting here not no attorney. We don't not have but one attorney in this room. You are city attorney,
well,
and that's why I said.
Larry Green's over there.
Well, Larry's not no city attorney. You're only city attorney now. Let's get real.
They pretty at him as my assistant.
Well, of course.
And again, if you're asking, is it legal? Legally, should you do it one way versus the other? The answer to that is no.
Recommendation, should we suspend the cameras, yes or no? I mean, that's the only thing I'm asking. Should we suspend those cameras, yes or no? That was answer my question.
You need to get, I know you want to say yes, but you want to say no. If I were a council person, I would vote. I'm not going to say that because that's not a legal opinion.
That answers it.
Yeah, it's-
all the facts have been presented. all the
Well, anyway,
details
put them
been
on,
presented.
I'm still confused.
Well, we need to make a motion before the council to
When
get,
you can do whatever you want to do.
I want to make a motion to the floor to suspend the use of the body cameras immediately till we can do a proper study within 30 days, that's proper enough time, and submit a report back to the council for extra funding or to delete the program altogether. If they want to fund it, then we'll go with what your recommendation and research shows. If they want to eliminate the program, then we'll be in the same boat as the sheriff's department in New Albany. I have a motion to suspend the use of body cameras until a better system can be obtained.
And you want to
I want-
take this recommendation.
I want to take this recommendation back to the council.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
No.
No? Okay. Moving on. Updates on police cruisers, we got state contract bids. Pretty much in line, best I can figure. The price of the units with state contract fell within the same with only $1,800 increase over the last 3-year period, which is pretty good, which is excellent in my book. They, we bought the lights and stuff instead of subcontracting out with Pruitt's business out there. We got better cars and better systems, and I think they'll have less problems with that, the packages we went through. Interlocal agreement, this is one I brought forward. Sheriff Manley advised us a few months ago that he would no longer participate in the flex team.
In April, yes, sir.
April. We advised that the flex team no longer be supported or used or be manned by any of the sheriff units. All their support and so forth was withdrawn. I think the flex team, which is now made up of nothing but Martown City police officers, is still going out into the county, supporting the county on high-risk warrant serves. And with us having all the high schools and pretty much all the schools within the city limits, except for New Haven and Boston, I mean, we're pretty much required to have a flex team in place. It'd be just pure foolishness not to have something in place and depend on the state. But the problem I have is I have no problem supporting the county and the sheriff's department, but we need interlocal agreement of some type to clarify where we stand if we go out with them, what our responsibility, who's responsible, when we get called out, how we get called out, and the situations to be called out on. And it's more to safeguard our officers and to safeguard the city from liability. There's nothing in agreement now. There's just a shaking of a hand agreement, I suppose. Whatever that's worth, since they've locked us out of the sheriff's department, it's hard to tell. But we will support it. But I think legal advice on it would be an interlocal agreement.
Yeah, it'd be some sort of
Something,
memorandum
right.
agreement, something
Gotta be something.
that says, here's the circumstances, here's who's in charge, here's who's, yeah, I think and I think it's mostly, I've never seen one of these, but I would imagine it would be mostly about police procedures. What is the appropriate
Standard
police
SOP
Yeah.
of it.
Yes.
The flex team had an SOP in place, even back when I started. We had one, but now with it was like an interlocal agreement with the city and county, county and city units, where their responsibilities. But now there's no county units involved. It's strictly city and the sheriff. I just don't think the city should take all the responsibility without something in place.
What response, and I I'm asking the question, what is required of us?
Well, there's nothing required of us. We don't have to respond at all. I mean, Ed said he would use state police, but we're, we still have officers out there, just like that hostage situation that they went out on. They had a man a gun at every window. He was ready for a siege, and I think he was a veteran. And I've always said that these veterans coming back with are more dangerous than our SWAT team. They've done this training in Afghanistan and Iraq day in, day out, when we train once a month. And I think, well, it's a bad situation when we have to deal with these people. But that we could get called on it. But we need a policy of when we get called out and who is responsible on scene. And to pretty much cover our guys' ass when they get out there in that bad
I think
situation.
it would probably be a memorandum of understanding, and I'll tell you why, because I assume since they've disbanded this, where you've got joint teams, if you will, that there's no like shared equipment or shared, none of that. So typically interlocal agreement's gonna be where you're pooling resources. What we're talking about is, like you pointed out correctly, standard operating procedures. Here's when we respond, here's how we respond, here's chain of command, here's custody of evidence, whatever you generate. And I think it'd be more like a memorandum of understanding saying, we will support you in these circumstances in this way. And then the entities agree to that, and I think it should be passed by the council probably for some sort of resolution or approval or something. I'm not sure it would need to be a full-blown interlocal agreement, but it would be something that can...
Something in writing,
Yes, sir.
say when we're responsible and what
Yes.
we're responsible for.
So that when somebody comes back and says you didn't fulfill your responsibility, we can say, here's our responsibility. And that's the agreement.
I have a question on this flex team. Will it be city owned? If Hodgenville, Boston, or someone call you, would you go to Boston or Hodgenville or something? Just fill me in on it.
That's not normally something we do. We support the citizens of Bardstown first and foremost, but traditionally smaller departments have leaned on larger departments. We lean a lot on Kentucky State Police. We draw on Louisville Metro a lot, and that's just kind of the pecking order. They have more people, more expertise, more resources, and if a smaller agency got themselves into a very serious situation, maybe they had an officer that was hurt and pinned down, yes, I hope that we would be able to respond and help them out.
Mutual aid.
Right,
essentially.
okay. But my other question, I'm glad you answered my question. We'll use mutual aid. What about the liability aspect? Now, this officer is in another city, liability aspect. Now, who paid for that? And I understand the mutual agreement.
Yeah, we would.
Huh?
We would. We're responsible for our officers.
So, City of Bardstown taxpayer will have to pay the expense of maybe this officer may be in Hodgenville or New Haven, maybe it be for a week. It may be the
You
few
mean
days.
the salary of the
Yeah,
officer?
I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I know the city pays a salary, but it's possibility it's gonna be some overtime if they go called out somewhere,
Yes.
maybe to
Now,
New Haven.
if you start talking about sharing expenses or something, that's probably an interlocal agreement. But I don't think that's what you're looking at. I think you're looking at a situation where, let's say that there's a suspect in the school in New Haven. New
Right,
Haven has how many? One or two? I don't know. And they need a response. They
Right.
need some, and so Bardstown would send people down there, I would think, because those people are in dire need.
Right.
And if it's overtime, it's overtime, and I don't think that we would bill. I
Right.
guess you could build New Haven,
Right.
but I wouldn't think you would.
Right.
And then if there was something where a Bardstown police officer incurred some sort of liability,
Sure.
then we would be responsible.
Well, you asked my question.
So we have to be careful
Sure, I know
what we're doing.
Well, you asked my question, that was my concern. Thank you.
I'm here for it.
Pretty much, I want some type of agreement
Right.
between the county and the city before I send my officers out into the county.
Right.
So who's in charge when they get on
Sure,
scene?
it should be.
And so,
It should be a policy.
Well, if that situation arises, then like you say, describe it, whatever, who's in charge, blah, blah, blah. But the state police come into play. We gotta have something that covers us where, who is in charge?
The state police have their own policy, and obviously they have statewide jurisdiction, being the state police, and their policy pretty much is if they come onto a scene, they're in charge of it. You relinquish command to them, or they're not going to
Well, then we come right
participate.
down then to the sheriff.
Right.
The high sheriff pulls up there. That's why I think you're absolutely right. We need some description and things before we
Since
even do that.
There was not an issue when both departments were in this ball game together. It was just, we go with them, they go with us, yada, yada. Now it's totally separate. County's separated herself from this program, and I think if we're going to take all the liability, we need something in place to clarify when we react, when we respond, and who has the authority to call us out.
The other thing I'd like to add is the Flex team has routinely supported the Greater Hardin County Narcotics Drug Task Force on their service and high-risk warrants. As y'all know, we have an officer assigned to the Drug Task Force and the Sheriff's Department as well, and they function as a team out of an office here locally, even though their main office is in E-Town. And when they have these high-risk narcotic search warrants, they fill out our risk matrix, and if we deem that warrant requires high-risk service, the Bardstown Flex team has usually served that warrant, whether it's in the city or the county. I'll tell you that the Drug Task Force not only does drug investigations, but they've been very supportive of both their departments here and assisting with extensively with Officer Ellis murder investigation, the Netherland murder investigation. They've assisted with the most recent unsolved murder we have over here on West Steve Foster. So they don't just solely investigate narcotics violations. When we have other serious investigations, they've been more than happy in the past to lend us assistance through their manpower, their technical equipment, surveillance cameras and stuff, and even so much as paying for informants and buying evidence. So if we get into this fashion and some sort of agreement, I would ask that we also be still supporting the Drug Task Force. And I think that's beneficial to our community.
I want to clarify, I don't want to discontinue any support to these departments that we're supporting. I still want to support the SO. If they need our help, I'll be glad to go. I feel like y'all will be glad to go. And the mayor don't want, I don't think he wants to stop the support, and surely not the Greater Hardin County Task Force. But we got to have some type of,
Absolutely.
you got to protect yourself. I think that's what we're here for. Any other discussion on that? We'll try to see if we can get something drawn up on who would be responsible for that.
Well, I think the first step would be to, I think it's operating procedures. I think is the primary thing. It's not, this is tactical, not legal. I mean, if you can get me tactical information, here's when we'll go, here's who should be in charge and everything.
It has to be signed by all the...
I think I think what you'd say is, here's what we're willing to do. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And they agree or they don't agree.
What if the SO doesn't agree?
I don't think you should, I'm not sure I'm not sure I would go out if they're not willing to, try to be reasonable on it, obviously, but I'm not sure why they wouldn't.
We'll work on getting something implemented with the support of the attorneys and some big cities, and Larry, there's got to be something out there that's just a basic, to cover.
Well, if the state police, they have something,
Yeah.
that may be a starting
We can
point.
adapt something over for our use.
Sure.
We'll look into that, but we need to get something in place henceforth. Any more discussion on that? Moving right along. Next procedure on the hiring of the new police chief. I'll turn it over to Larry Green.
All right, well, we have talked to the Kentucky League of Cities, and they have a recommended process for hiring a police chief. And I've kind of adapted it a little bit. And
Sorry, I got it. Go ahead.
I'll just hand these out to the committee. So, 8 steps involved in it, and first thing we'll do is we'll get this, the committee called together. We have most of these people are on board already. The council members will be Councilman Buckman and Councilman Williams, and the police officer will either be Officer either Gillick or Mackenzie Mattingly. The attorney is going to be Mike Cohen, and the citizen member, Kathy, remind me of her name.
Teresa Maddox.
Teresa Maddox, yeah, I just talked to her, and she's agreed to be on it, and I'll be acting as kind of the staff person. And then we're going to find a police professional from another department. And so then what we'll do is we'll get these people together, and this is something I looked at some of the advertisements for other communities, and I was a little surprised because they include in the advertisement a lot of information about the community itself, which I thought was a really great idea, because then not only do we get people to tell us about themselves, but beforehand we tell them about the community, the type of department, how it's set up, and so they know something going into it. And some of them may decide that they want to come to Bardstown just based on that. So we'll be designing an advertisement with information. I got, again, from the Kentucky League of Cities, not just we advertise in the Courier Journal and the Herald Leader, and then also the KLC publication, Kentucky Chief of Police, the Fraternal Order of Police, also all have websites. We'll of course put it on our own. When we get the applications in, we'll probably go through them and decide which ones are meet the minimum requirements, and then distribute those to the committee members, and then we'll start having meetings to go through those and select a number of candidates, probably around 10, to interview. We'll hold the interviews and select 3 finalists that will be submitted to the mayor. Of course, the mayor does the hiring according to the ordinance with the approval of the city council. And so then the mayor would interview those 3, make a selection, we'll do the background check, and then submit that to the city council for approval. And it was looking at probably 3 to 4 months to go through this, but it's important. Makes perfect sense after talking to the League of Cities that we go through this deliberatively and involve this committee in the decision making and recommendation ultimately to the mayor. So what I'd like from the safety committee is it's also important that the city council understand this process and buy into it, because ultimately it's the council that has to approve any police chief that's appointed by the mayor. So if the committee agrees with this, or if you have any ideas, we certainly could look at it.
I think I support that, because I have been involved in the past of sitting in, interviewing 2 police chiefs here at the city of Bardstown, and the name that you got here, one of the things here, that's very good. That's something we did something like that in the past. We didn't have no attorney, but we had other names and things in there, so I have no problem with that.
Any more discussion? If not, then I'll put a motion forward to the committee to recommend this procedure to the city council.
I'll so move.
Second. Okay, that's what we'll do. Next meeting in September. You have anything, Fire Chief? You have? No. Nothing. Okay. Next meeting will be September 5th. Make a motion for adjournment. All in favor? Thank you all, fellas. Good meeting.